1953 till 1960, when we finished with our primary school leaving certificate. Then from there, an extra year at Holy Cross School. We needed that extra, they call it prep class. Prepare yourself to go to the secondary school. And from Holy Cross, for 1 year, I moved on to St. Gregory's College, Lagos. Now, growing up in Lagos was one of the best things that happened to us then. Life was good, life was easy, life was safe, life was like everything that a young man could aspire to. We went to school with scholars bus, which was virtually provided for free. When scholars bus was not available, it was fun walking from Obalende, firstly to St. Matthias, and then from there to St. Gregory's College. Life was good, life was safe. You could go out any time of the day. You could play from house to house. Parents knew each other very well, and so, in fact, when you were late somewhere on your street or in your neighborhood, you could sleep there because they would send a message to your home that Dele is here, so don't bother. The next morning you wake up, have your bath, have breakfast, return to your home. There was this community life that we all lived. Parents could discipline children of their friends. Okay? Not like these days, you dare not touch any other child. The parents will come and do a battle with you that I didn't send my child to you to be flogged or to be beaten. So it was a very beautiful life. So went to St. Matthias, went to St. Gregory's College, and then from there to University of Lagos. We were our brothers' keepers. School was fun. Teachers were all there just to teach you. There was no messing around. There weren't any bad habits that people could be developing along the line, So that was my life growing up. So we were all walking through Balinde to Lafiaji, to Campus Square, to Tokunbo, Okekpopo, So we were children of the neighborhood. We were children of the area. So I'm never ashamed to say I'm an area boy in Lafiaji. Today it has become a taboo, but then we were proud of our origin. We were proud of our place of birth, and we were proud growing up in the neighborhood. So today, still believe me, I get up on some Fridays, I just go to Lafiaji, I stay with the guys. Okay, not all of us were fortunate enough to go through the system. Okay, so those who, in quote, we left behind, we still, a lot of the time, we still talk to them. We still relate to them when there are problems that we could fix. We help out. Because, it wasn't their fortune to be able to have gone. I know some dropped out, on their own volition. But generally, we all like the idea of going to school, but some couldn't make it. But we still relate to them. We are still friends. So I'm not surprised I leave Holy Cross Cathedral and I just hear people call me my names. And I know these people are those who knew me when we were growing up. Yeah. Okay. Let me start by saying that even at secondary school, I read a lot. I was interested in the newspapers. And a lot of the time, I read something, there was always this beautiful column of letters to the editor. So anything that I read that I liked, I sit down, 2-3 paragraphs letter to the editor to compliment what they've done, to criticize what I didn't like, and these things were published. And I liked it. Okay? You open the papers and you just see, contributed by Steve Omojafo, or some will call me Bamidele Omojafo. So that kept me getting interested in the media. So when I left secondary school, after higher school, I would just pay a visit to Daily Times, which was in Tinubu, Kakawa Street. I just pay a visit there, and I got talking to people. They would take me to the newsroom, they would just show me how newspapers are produced and all that. That ignited my interest. So when I left higher school, mass communication was what called me. I know that my uncle, you are not doing accountancy, you are not doing engineering, you're not doing medicine, you want to go and become a newspaper boy. I said, yes, this is where my interests lie. So I got admitted to Lagos University. I studied mass communication there. And while I was there, I developed a column in Lagos Weekend of those days. Every Friday I was contributing. And I was writing under the name of Akibodilon. Now, Akibodilon itself is a name that I picked up in a drama group. Because we had a drama group that we produced all kinds of little plays here and there at Jekirandu Hall, So one of the roles I played was Akibodilon. So when I started writing my columns in Daily Times and Lagos Weekend, I just used that pen name, Akibodilon. So I did the program and I started writing for Daily Times campus news, things that happened during elections, battle between the male and female, problems with the tutors and everything. So it became a very regular program. In fact, I inherited the program from late Golabo Ogusawo, who was my boss in the Daily Times. So I did that program for 3 years. It became very popular. It got to a point, Vice Chancellor would call me to say, there's a little thing going on in the university. I hope you have covered it for your paper. And I said, I'm not even employed there. I'm just writing, So I left University of Lagos, had all kinds of jobs that one could do, but I headed for Daily Times because I just had developed a path for myself, and that is journalism. Okay. So while in the Daily Times, worked with the Lagos Weekend, went to Daily Times proper and worked there. I was a columnist, I was a sub-editor, and also a reporter. Combined everything. So that was where my interest grew, and it was very painful when I had to leave the Daily Times organization. And what did I go to? Linters advertising. When I walked into Linters, and I said to the chairman managing director, and I said, I want a job. I said, just like that? I said, yes, sir. Then it was easy to communicate with people. We're not too many, so they listen to you. So he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm a sub-editor at the Daily Times. So why are you coming to advertising? I want to broaden my space. I want to safeguarding my experiences. It took about 3 months, and I got a job in Linters. And I remember Alhaji Babatunde Joseph, when I was going to leave, said, "Steve, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Linters." I said, "Well, we do the same thing. They package programs commercially. Here we do our papers and we go sell, So I said, "Okay, sir, let me just go gather some experience at Linters." And Linters and Daily Times were just 5 minutes walk from each other. And I said, "Sir, if the editor needs me for anything, trust me, I will spend my time and money, do write-ups for Daily Times." So I was like working in advertising and still writing for the Daily Times. So that was my life. From Linters, we set up our own company known as Roosevelt Advertising Limited. And Roosevelt, was formed by 3 partners, two friends of mine. 3 of us were at Lagos University at the same mass comm department. So we came out, and I left Daily Times to set up Roosevelt. One of my partners left Cadbury to join us, and Akadusi left Admark, another advertising company. So 3 of us came together and we set up Roosevelt. We call ourselves second generation agencies, because before then we were the Ogilvy, the Linters, Grant Advertising, and so on. So we set up a small shop in Surrey, and it grew beyond our own imagination. From Roosevelt, we set up a second line agency called McCann, STB McCann. Got affiliated to a company in America, McCann Erickson. So that was how it all went on. Now, I didn't do banking, and I didn't work as a banker. The interesting story is that one day, while still at Roosevelt, STB McCann then, I got a phone call from somebody I've never met before. And I picked up the call. He said, "My name is ABC, blah, blah, blah." And he said, the managing director of Zenith Bank wants to talk to me. So I said, "Okay, there's no problem. I know I'm not owing any bank and all that." He said, "No, he just wants to talk to you." So I picked up, he picked up the line and said, "My name is this. And I said, "My name is this." He said, "Can we meet?" So I said, "She, no problem." He said, "No." So we agreed to meet. And it got to be that he wanted to appoint a couple of directors for the bank before they went public. And what I said to him was, "I'm not a banker. I didn't study finance or economics." He said, "No. What I want from you is your name and your integrity. Nothing beyond that." That was the beginning of the story. So I got onto the board, and I learned a lot. I'm somebody who doesn't get to a place and I want to show them what I know or what I don't know. You could make a fool of yourself sometimes. So for me, like the first 6 months or 1 year, was just go to the meeting, listen to them, know where they are coming from, know what the focus is, and know what the expectations are. So I picked it up from there. Gradually, I got into the system. Of course, naturally, buy some books on banking, finance, just read, so at least you know how the banks operate. I've always been a customer of the banks. It is very small scale. And all I did was follow the banking trend. There weren't too many banks in Nigeria at that point. but I followed through. And that was it. I got onto the board. And somewhere along the line, there was the policy of the central bank. The managing director had to step aside, so to say. The chairman had overspent some time regulated by the CBN. And they approached me and said, you are going to become, at the board, you're going to become the chairman of the board. I said, me? And they said, yes. I've met a lot of people here, so why me anyway? To cut the short story long, I was eventually made the chairman of Zenith Bank. And I was there, I was chairman for 4 years. And then CBN rules changed again. The MD came back, and I was very happy to hand over the bank to him. And I said I was going to leave when he came back. He said no. Statutorily, as he had 2 more years on the board, that no, you got to stay and live out your time. And then, so I did. And after 12 years, I eventually bowed out from the bank and returned full time to my own job, which I've been known for, and that is the media world. Okay, so I get invited for interviews, for programs here and there. Like you said, it's always a good thing. You have something you have learned over the years, you want to impact it on the younger ones, who are coming. I mean, my first son, for instance, went through the media scene, now in advertising, and I go on encouraging them. I retired from active day-to-day operations about almost 15 years ago. But I'm still keeping pace with what is going on around me. Yeah, I mean, the society itself is very dynamic. There's been a lot of changes over time. I mean, I look back to during my own time in the newspaper world, and I can count just about 4 or 5 newspapers then. Okay, Morning Post, Daily Times, The Express, and a couple of others. So we knew each other, we knew the practice, we exchanged news information, we exchanged. I mean, if you had a news that was breaking, you want to call up colleagues from other papers. We all go there as a team, right? Because stories will be written from different angles, no matter what you do. So, newspaper was great, and it was so good. In the morning, your byline was there, and people were trying to reach you, about the quality. Quality was good. Quality was good, and there wasn't too much of freelancing in those days, in the newspaper world. So you were either fully employed or you didn't belong. Same thing for radio. I mean, for instance, television I didn't do much about. While in journalism and in newspaper world, I was writing for radio. Okay, interesting stories. I had there was a name to this program, the oddities, odd world. So we were picking up things that were odd. People that didn't imagine what they were. It's not something that was very common. So we went on doing that. So newspapers were growing, radio was growing, television was growing, and out-of-home media was also growing. And talk about the dynamism of the system. Suddenly, people were now going out of buying a newspaper every day to sit down and hold it in front of you, trying to read from beginning, from cover to cover. types of communication came on. With the advent of mobile phones, things began to change. In our own time, it was the phone you put on the desk and you were dialing it. A lot of the time you could never get across. Okay? Suddenly, mobile phone came onto the scene. And news coverage was transformed completely from what it used to be. Okay? So now people on their phone could reach out. You could touch Germany, touch America, touch all parts of Europe, just sitting down in your office to gather information, gather news, what is new, And then, of course, we now had more television stations, no longer NTA alone, okay? Now, with the news stations, things were just expanding. Things were broadening up, and news gathering became something new altogether. And everybody was heading for a new phenomenon altogether. So today, you don't have to be a big guy to be able to tell your stories. Little children tell their stories, females tell their stories, So really we have moved from the days of waiting to read your newspaper to gather your news. Now, with your phone on your palm, you could do wonders all over. But of course, standard also, in some areas, standard will improve. In some areas, standards will go down. Because the multiplicity of media sources create problems. The kind of quality control we used to have in those days was disappearing. And people can build up stories without even being there to know if it is factual or not. So of course, the turmoil that we are going through in the media space now is better imagined. But I still believe that for those who have structures like the one you are building up now, will enable people to know that you've got to check, you've got to cross-check. Okay? We have laws that control what we say, what you do, what you publish. Of course, they are not as rigid as they should be. So in terms of content these days, you have to ensure that you check your facts before you can believe, what they are saying or make any sense out of them. So really it has become all commerce affair. And this is not going to be the end. The explosion is going to continue. Maybe in a few years to come, we're going to have a stronger media control than what we have now. People are building content. You go on YouTube, you go on all kinds of media, and you are getting all kinds. What you hear from your WhatsApp is different from what you're going to get in your YouTube. You go to Instagram. People are selling themselves with all kinds of stories. So really, for me, we've gone through the era of sanity. And I hate to say, we've gone into the era where anything you can think of, say it, write it, do it. And for the consumers, it's like you either take it or you leave it. But it's good that we can now reach out much, much widely. Thanks to our mobile news. You talk to people in any village in Nigeria, and suddenly one thing that didn't grab us so early was you open up your Google map and You don't have to stop people on the street anymore. Show me where I'm going. Just go to the app and it leads you to the front of the house you are going to. So we have a lot of improvements, and I think it's going to be improving some more. All we just need to watch is to ensure that we remain truthful and we remain factual, so that we don't mislead people on the street, particularly people in the rural areas. One day you just see everybody running helter-skelter because somebody posted a news that is not correct. So we need to watch that and put some more control. But I like the growth in the media space. When I got into the banking sector, I saw myself more as a customer than a board member. I haven't been a journalist, which I still am. I wrote so much about what consumers or customers were going through in the banks. It was a period of tally number, Remember this commercial, where somebody carried a mat. I said, what are you carrying a mat in the bank? I said, I want to lay down here because I know before I get my money, I will have slept once or twice and woken up, So I was very consumer oriented. When I got into the banking system, a couple of times my board members will ask me, are you on the board or you are still a customer? I said, first and foremost, I want to remain a customer of the bank who will come into the bank and get properly served, who will come into the bank and feel like human, who will come into the bank feel important because it's your money in the bank. Even if it's only 1,000 naira, it's your money. You need to be treated with some dignity and respect. And that was my mentality that I took into the board of the bank. I said, listen, I am not too happy the way customers are treated. It is their money, no matter how small. Treat them with respect, treat them with dignity. So they started listening to me after some time. And I said, customer service is extremely important. In those good old days, you will hardly hear about customer service in any of the major banks. It wasn't there. But gradually, people started being important. It was more of retail. You can deal with the big corporate organizations, but at the same time, it is these poor students, poor market women, people who are out there on the street laboring hard to bring their money. So that was one area I was extremely happy that we developed that area of retail banking and being able to make the consumer a king. Okay? So that was part of it. Then, of course, I said to the bank, I said to them, fine, it is very good to make huge profits, okay? But at the same time, the customers that come in here and from their money we make our profits, let us also consider the kind of interest they get from their deposits. Today, when the banks take your money to deposit, okay? No. When you go to the bank and say, I need assistance, I need a loan, and you tell them, give them all the facts and figures, okay? They will tell you, you are going to when they take your money to put in the bank, they give you an interest of 2%, 3%, 4%. And I just couldn't live with it. I mean, if you are giving me a loan, you're charging me so high. When I put my money there, it's also a loan to you. Why will you leave me with 2 or 3%? And I thought the system wasn't quite right. It was too skewed towards the bank than the customer. So I met a lot of pushbacks, in that area. And I must just say, it's an area I think government should still be interested in. In the civilized world, interest rate hovers between 3%, 5%. In Nigeria, it goes as far as. Maybe in Africa, not just Nigeria. I know we are developing, but at the same time, let's develop together. For both those that we are taking in their money and for those we are giving money to. So there'll be some level of balance. So I really worked hard in that area. I may not have fully succeeded. Then I think finally, one other thing that I think I was able to do at the bank is our staff also requires some upliftment. And certainly banks started employing senior people. They started moving people up. They look more at the system now than just ownership. So generally, of course, more banks have come into the scene. A lot of new banks, so people can spread out and salaries started going up for bankers and all that. But of course, requirements were also extremely high. So generally, I think today we have a much stronger banking system and we are still growing. Now, the bank for a long time have been let loose to do whatever they want to do at the disadvantage of customers, like I started off with. Now, our leaders, and when I say leaders, let me point on just our presidents. The system was such that our presidents could do anything they like with the banks. It was almost an extension of the State House. You just pick up your bell and you ring and the governor of Central Bank will come shaking because you had the power to bring him in and fire him. So he had to respect everything that the president wants. And it's wrong. This time around, I can say, even in some parts of Africa, you couldn't run the central bank the way we run it here. All the CBN governors wanted to do, please the president, and you are free to do whatever you want to do. And it's wrong. It's wrong. Take even Britain here. Have you ever heard this kind of relationship between the Prime Minister of England and the CBN? No. Everybody has his mandate. In places, in climes like that, the president doesn't call up the central bank governor. Go and do this. Go and do that. Exchange rate should be done. Change your policy to be done. That's part of the problem we've had in this country. So the last government and their CBN just run this country to their whims and caprices. You leave your monetary policy. In fact, you were running both monetary and fiscal at the same time. You took the Minister for Finance, for instance, and you have no dealings with him or her. You ran their own programs for them. And you did things that they should do, but they couldn't query you because the president, had your back. So a lot of things went wrong. And the result is now here for all of us to see. So look at the changing of our redesign, what they call redesigning of the currency. Now we know there are so many ways you should have done it, but we put politics and added it into our financial and monetary policies. We wanted to do it specifically to change the course of history. So today, we now know what's happening at the central bank. In fact, if the true story of what went on in the last 8 years was told, I don't know what will be left of this country. You had this little thing in the Constitution that said the government can borrow from the CBN within certain limits. They call it ways and means. But no. And there was a percentage tied to it. You can't do more than 5%. And by the time you're asking for the new one, you should have paid up. We went on piling up. It's like just go and print the money. What Idi Amin used to do in Uganda in those days. That's the kind of situation we found ourselves. Very regrettable. But I believe some sanity will now come into this space. The new central bank has at least outlined its policies. It has also said, let me keep to my monetary policy, which is my area, and leave the paperwork and how they want to run it. People deal with the fiscal area. So we want to change. We think things should change. Now, before now, we borrowed and borrowed without thinking about how are we going to pay. Who are we leaving this debt for? Now we know it's for you and me to still do our work, put in as much money as we can, no matter how little, into the bank, and revive the banking industry. Okay, so the CBN has its own role, and my prayer and my wish is that they will keep their own part of the bargain, leave other people. The Minister for Finance has said it that much. We should. We all know, simple economics. You don't borrow money to pay your debt. You borrow money for production. You borrow money to fix things like your oil maintenance and all that. Where our money should be coming from. That's what you borrow money for. You don't borrow money for wastages. You don't borrow money to satisfy your whims and caprices. You don't borrow money to just go out there and waste it. Now, you borrow money to pay back your debt. At the end of the day, we are back lower than where we started off from. So really, my appeal to both the president and his cabinet, particularly those that do with finance, give them some room. You put them there because you think they know what they're supposed to do. Give them the space. If it goes breathing down their neck, at some point, it will just be, President said so, President said, even things that the President did not say, President said so, and it's got to be done. And we are running a country, even when you run your home, you are able to sit down with your little income and plan. Every day we are being told, if you earn this much, use this little bit, keep the rest in the bank, because you never know about tomorrow. So that's where we found ourselves, and I believe that if everything goes right, we should see massive changes from what it was, the last 8 years. We need drastic changes in the system. My mom in Abalinde used to say to me, when I want to be lazy, he will make sure you do what she wants you to do. And he will remind you that hard work doesn't kill. It is laziness that turns you into an inconsequential human being with no sense of direction. We grew up learning hard work, both in school and out of school. I, for instance, hawked on the streets of Lagos with my mom. You leave St. Gregory's College, now not primary school, St. Gregory's College. You come back. My mother was a textile seller. Got it, probably went to Balogun, pick up. When I come back from school after my lunch, get a basket full of cloth, which I put on my head, and we go from street to street. My mother's carrying her tape rule and another measurement stick, and we'll go around Obalende, Igoshere, Bamboshe, Oshoji, and we were selling. From there, she graduated to owning a shop in Balogun. When I leave school, I was her accountant, so to say, bookkeeper. All the things they sold and make, keep the records and everything. I helped her take the money to the bank. It was Barclays Bank, what was it called then? Yeah, Barclays Bank, before it became Union Bank in Balogun. So I've learned how to trade. I've learned how to make money. I've learned how to deal with customers. Plus that, I was also a bread seller. Somewhere along Strachan Street, off Igoshere, there was a big bakery owned by the Lawson family. To be able to get enough bread, you got to get there between 5 and 6 in the morning. Okay? So let me cut it short. We learned to work hard. And that working hard continued with us up to where we are today. We also were very straight-minded in terms of what we wanted to be. We played pranks, so we went out to play football, we went out to, to play with the girls and everything. But at the end of the day, you returned home. And our parents didn't spare the rod. They didn't. You came back later than expected to. They would lie you on the floor and dealt with you. So the combination of the kind of upbringing and the kind of training we went through home probably kept us where we are. And like I said to you before we started the interview, you knew that if you finish your primary school, secondary school is the next thing. If you finish secondary school, you don't know what you were going to reading for. Not until probably when you got to the university did it occur to you, okay, I'm going to choose a profession. But all along, we just did it because that was what the system and the environment asked for. So, secret of success, hard work, hard work, hard work. No. I had a father who was very finicky about appearance. When I lived on Igboshiri Road, our church was on Louis Street, so to say, walking distance. He taught me how to wear full agbada right from primary school, secondary school. I mean, today, you just wear Buban Shokoto, you go to church. Never was that happening. It's got to be full. Right. Then from there, by the time you got into, I mean, my father died while I was in university. Before then, he was always having this very thin bow tie, not this bigger one, bigger sizes now. Thin, you know, even when his dress is khaki and khaki, he still had it on. So I admired him, but initially I was on my long time, up till a point, and I look back at some photographs we took when we were in the secondary school, and I thought, no, let me go back to those old days. Some people tell me it makes you look old. I said, I don't mind, you know. But these days, I have just acquired that fashion taste, you know, which has suddenly become my, what do you call it? Become what I'm known with. And I enjoy it. And I encourage people, once in a while, put on your bow tie. It makes you look good, makes you look impressionable, it makes you look a serious person, and it makes people take a second look at you. I think, number one, parents started sparing the rod. Call it civilization, call it growing up and all that. Parents started sparing the rod because they always whipped us to shape. You knew what was expected of you, and you did it. Because if you didn't do it, your punishment is waiting for you. But as we grew up, I mean, you probably will ask me today, do I use the rod for my children, for instance? And the answer is no. And why it is no is that these days the children look up to you. They are more exposed than what we were. More exposed. They know what daddy does. If you show them a bad example, they will repeat that bad example. If they know that when daddy wakes up in the morning, before he goes anywhere, he needs time to say his prayers. They too, unconsciously, will copy you. If they know that when dad goes out, he comes back certain time. He doesn't come in at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Subconsciously, they too will know there's something that this old man sees that doesn't make him go out all night. So they copy from us. But then, like people say, I don't know how correct it is, that these days people are so busy looking for money. They all over the place, they abandon the home to nannies and housemates and all that, and the children a lot of the time are on their own. But people like you and I, for instance, probably had housemates in the house. You see, but the work that the housemaid does, we were also made to do it. Right? Washing our plates, staying in the kitchen to see how things are prepared. They took us through it, even if you didn't have to do it yourself. And that's why you and I are what we are today. But for the modern young families, most if there's some money to back it up, no, the children don't touch a lot of housework in the homes. They can go out when they can wear, I mean, you see some little young girls and what they wear. In fact, even to the church, you want to ask yourself, where did their parents go? They know, because you have been moderately successful, for instance, they too want to be successful like you are, and all you are saying to them, follow my footsteps, and you may not go wrong. And don't make wealth, money, the thing that should govern your homes. Don't spoil the children. Give them adequately what we all need to survive, and they will survive. In those days, while all you needed to take to school was 1 shilling. Okay, you still see children from rich homes who came with £1 and stuff like that. But let's be contented. Let's teach the children to be contented with what we have. Families are growing. Society is expanding, and we can reach out to any part of the world. Now, we need to bring them closer to the home. At least up till the time that they are leaving you to go and start up there. But as long as they're still within your influence, it's very important that children and their families come much, much stronger together. I'm going to start with sports. I was an avid squatter. Okay, back in school, a bit of football, a bit of tennis, and all that. But when I started growing up seriously, I loved squash. And I played squash until I was over 50. Okay, and the doctor said, slow down on squash. So today, I do my swimming. Okay, I still do my swimming 2-3 times a week. Okay, and then of course, I walk. You know, there's this thing that keeps on saying, I mean, if all you can do is walk for 30-40 minutes a day, okay, and then of course, I'm an avid fan of football up to today. I wish we could develop a local league so that I could slow down on my European Premier, Premier League sessions. So I love football and I love lawn tennis up to now. Now, favorite color, subdued. Okay. Hot colors frighten me. Okay, and if you have to do it, just make it minimal. When I pick my dress, for instance, you got to know you want the kind of shirt you want to wear to match the color of the tie you want to use, to match the color of your suit, so it doesn't run riot. So it's extremely important. And I said to my friend, just Google it. What color matches this and what color matches that? You know, so you don't become like a Christmas tree, on the road. That was the third one. Food. I grew up enjoying my eba and amala. Growing up from Obalinde, okay. So I do my eba, I do my amala. Rice occasionally. But then these days, from age 70 upwards, oh, the doctors are screaming, watch what you eat, what the quantity you eat. So my wife draws up a weekly timetable. Monday is this, Tuesday is that, Wednesday is that, and she manages to mix up a slightly heavy one and a slightly lighter one so that you have a good mix. With age, you cut down on a lot of things. Cut down on your booze, cut down on your champagne, you cut down on your wine, you cut down on your salt. In fact, it's like they're punishing us. But then they say that is the way to go, to be able to at least live longer and enjoy more of life.
Two widely used and deeply troubling terms dominate discussions around Nigerian emigration: japa and brain drain. Japa, a word that has made its way into the Oxford English Dictionary, means to leave Nigeria for another country, often Europe or America, in pursuit of education, job opportunities, or better economic prospects. It also connotes to escape or to flee. The second term, brain drain, refers to the outflow of skilled professionals, doctors, engineers, academics, and more, leaving Nigeria to contribute their talents to other nations. As a patriot, one might argue that both terms evoke concern. Japa is symptomatic of systemic failures that drive citizens away from their homeland instead of encouraging them to stay and push for reform. As authors Darren Asimoglu and James Robinson emphasized in Why Nations Fail, governance thrives under civic pressure. If the youth and professionals flee, who remains to demand accountability and enforce positive change? Likewise, brain drain depletes the country's human capital. When Nigeria's best trained professionals are developing other nations, the country is left with fewer hands to build its own future. However, this narrative is shifting. As Bayo Olaoye explores in this special report, there is a compelling case for viewing the Nigerian diaspora not as a loss, but as an economic powerhouse. From brain drain to brain gain. Recent figures from the Nigerian Medical and Dental Council show that only about 27,000 of Nigeria's 71,740 registered doctors currently practice in the country. Thousands of Nigerian doctors, nurses, and health professionals now work in the UK and the US, contributing significantly to those nations' healthcare systems. It's a trend seen across professions, from teachers to tech experts. Critics argue these individuals should be at home, contributing to Nigeria's development. Yet, the picture is not so black and white. According to World Bank economists Art Cray and David McKenzie, poverty can often be a function of where one lives. For many Nigerians, staying home may mean remaining trapped in poverty. In that context, emigration is a rational choice and often a necessary one. Furthermore, the idea of brain drain has evolved into brain circulation or brain gain. Many Nigerians abroad are returning with skills, capital, and experience to invest in the country. Even those who don't return still give back. As Dr. Segun Aganga noted in Reclaiming the Jewel of Africa, diaspora Nigerians do not have to physically return to make an impact. Diaspora remittances, a lifeline for millions. Diasporans are sustaining the Nigerian economy through billions in remittances. Between 2018 and 2020, Nigerians abroad sent home over $65 billion, accounting for 4% of Nigeria's GDP. These funds uplift millions of households, offering relief from poverty, hunger, and economic despair. Remittances also help stabilize the naira, acting as a buffer against foreign exchange volatility. Yet, Nigeria is missing an opportunity to fully harness this potential. The Central Bank of Nigeria has imposed capital flow restrictions, forcing
Hello and welcome to World News on SOUQ News Television. We're reaching you live from our studios here in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Sarah Owusu-Ansah. Let's begin with today's top stories. National Sugar Development Council and Bank of Industry launched Sugar Project Acceleration Fund to support Greenfield Sugar Project nationwide. Nigerian National Petroleum Company (NNPC) plans to supply foreign crude to Dangote Refinery to stabilize feedstock supply and maintain steady refining amid rising petrol prices. On the foreign scene, Burkina Faso unveils $64 billion 5-year economic plan to boost growth, modernize key sectors, expand infrastructure, and strengthen agriculture and industry. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen urges European Union to adopt assertive stance, warning reliance on rules-based system alone is insufficient. And in the world of sports, Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen says team enters UEFA Champions League round of 16 first leg against Liverpool on high after Istanbul derby win. We'll bring you details of these headlines and more stories after this break. We begin in Nigeria, where the National Sugar Development Council and the Bank of Industry have established the Sugar Project Acceleration Fund to support the development of greenfield sugar projects across the country. The 10 billion naira fund is designed to provide financing and project development support to viable projects with the goal of fast-tracking investments in Nigeria's sugar value chain. Officials said the initiative aims to accelerate the growth of a sustainable and competitive sugar industry, reduce reliance on imports, and strengthen domestic production capacity. The Director General of the National Council on Climate Change, Maja Kodumi Omotenyoye, says Africa must adopt a pragmatic energy transition strategy that utilizes natural gas as a bridge to support industrialization while meeting global climate commitment. She made the call during her keynote address at the 3-day Green Conference 2026 organized in Lagos State, Nigeria. Omotenyoye noted that balancing economic growth with environmental responsibility remains critical for African countries navigating the global energy transition. According to her, natural gas provides a practical pathway for reducing emissions while sustaining industrial growth. She emphasized that Africa must pursue climate solutions that reflect the continent's development needs and energy realities. The federal government of Nigeria says it is exploring innovative financing options to support the conduct of a new national population census. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Bagudu, disclosed this while receiving officials of the National Population Commission in Abuja. Bagudu said the government is considering partnership with development partners and other stakeholders to mobilize the resources required for the nationwide exercise. He emphasized that reliable population data remains essential for effective national planning and policy formulation. The minister spoke during a familiarization visit by the chairman of the National Population Commission, Aminu Yusuf, who led a delegation of federal commissioners and senior officials of the commission to the ministry's headquarters. In another news, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, is planning to supply foreign crude oil to the Dangote Petroleum Refinery as petrol prices continue to rise across Nigeria. The move is part of efforts to stabilize feedstock supply and maintain steady refining operations. Industry sources say the arrangement may involve sourcing crude through international traders to supplement limited domestic supply. The initiative is expected to help sustain production at the Lekki-based refinery, which plays a key role in Nigeria's fuel market. However, analysts warn that securing foreign crude may not immediately reduce pump prices. They say global oil prices, logistic costs, and exchange rate pressures will continue to influence petrol prices for consumers. Now, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, says recent fluctuation in fuel pump prices are driven by market forces under the country's deregulated petroleum sector. Officials note that price adjustments reflect supply and demand rather than direct government control. Spokesperson George Eneita told newsmen in Abuja that the current rise in fuel prices is linked to tensions in the Middle East, which have triggered volatility in international energy markets. He emphasized that Nigeria's deregulated framework allows prices to respond automatically to global market shifts. Now we have more stories to come on the news. We'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
Hello Nigeria, hello Africa. Yeah, this is Sound Man. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Babalola from Excel LED. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to watch, always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hi, I'm Tom Boggables, and please keep watching SOUQ News. Wale Seriki, SLG Lagos Island East, SOUQ News, keep out watching them and keep a lookout for them. They're up and coming, and we're proudly to be affiliated with them.
You alone where they make me go crazy. This your love in the cool of my brain. You're my medicine, I need you all day. Yo, it's Blackface Nigeria and you're watching SOUQ News TV. Keep it locked on this dial, don't change it. You know what I say? Blackface Nigeria, love no bad.
Anthony Onyemaechi Elumelu was born on the 22nd of March 1963 in Jos, North Central Nigeria, to Susanna Dominic Elumelu, originally from Delta State. Tony earned a degree in economics from Ambrose Ali University, where he laid the foundation for his future career, and then furthered his education at the University of Lagos, where he obtained a master's degree in economics. His academic journey also includes attending the Harvard Business School, where he completed the Owner of President Management program, equipping him with advanced business management skills. Tony currently serves as the chairman of Heirs Holdings, Transcorp, and United Bank for Africa, UBA, demonstrating his significant influence in the banking and investment sector. He founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation, which aims to empower African entrepreneurs through comprehensive training, mentorships, and funding opportunities. In addition to his professional achievements, he's also a family man, married to Dr. Adele Vivian Elumelu, and together they have 7 children. In 2020, his efforts were acknowledged when he was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world. Anthony Elumelu's net worth is estimated to be around $700 million, a testament to his successful ventures and strategic investments. Elumelu continues to be a driving force in the business world, advocating for sustainable economic growth and empowering the next generation of African entrepreneurs.
Welcome back. On the foreign scene, Burkina Faso has unveiled a $64 billion 5-year economic roadmap aimed at accelerating growth and modernizing the nation's key sectors. The plan focuses on expanding infrastructure, strengthening agriculture, and boosting industrial production to create jobs and improve resilience. Energy development, social services, and human capital investment are also central to the strategy, with authorities emphasizing sustainable and inclusive development. Officials say the initiative will enhance productivity and address structural gaps that have constrained long-term growth. The roadmap is intended to attract both domestic and foreign investment while supporting fiscal stability and long-term economic sustainability, positioning Burkina Faso as a competitive player in the West African regional economy. Now, Tunisia is planning a major expansion of Tunis-Qatar International Airport at an estimated cost of $1 billion as part of efforts to modernize the country's air transport infrastructure. The Tunisian Ministry of Transport said the project will significantly boost capacity and improve passenger handling facilities at the country's main gateway. Under the plan, the airport's annual passenger capacity will rise from about 5 million to 18.5 million by 2031, positioning Tunisia to accommodate rising tourism and business travel demand in the coming years. Moving on, Vietnam plans to remove import tariffs on fuels to secure domestic supply amid disruptions caused by the ongoing military conflict in the Middle East. Authorities said the temporary measure, expected to last until the end of April, aims to stabilize fuel availability and curb price spikes triggered by supply chains distributions. A resolution formalizing the tariff suspension is being prepared by the Ministry of Finance which stressed that the move is part of a broader effort to safeguard energy security and maintain economic stability. Now, Bangladesh will close all public and private universities from Monday, moving forward the Eid al-Fitr holiday is to curb electricity and fuel use amid a worsening energy crisis linked to the Middle East conflict. Officials said the shutdown will reduce power consumption and help ease traffic congestion, which contributes to unnecessary fuel wastage. Authorities described the move as an emergency measure to manage limited energy resources effectively. The decision highlights growing concerns over energy security in the country as rising global fuel prices and supply disruptions strain Bangladesh electricity grid and national fuel reserves. Now, provisional government data showed that India's finished steel exports rose 36.6% year-on-year to 6.02 million metric tons in the first 11 months of the financial year. Meanwhile, imports of finished steel fell sharply to 5.6 million metric tons during April to February, down 37.4% compared with the same period last year, reflecting stronger domestic production and export orientation. The figures highlight India's growing role as a net exporter of steel, supported by increased output from the world's second-largest crude steel producer and government policies encouraging local manufacturing and trade competitiveness. Now, China's top diplomat, Foreign Minister Wang Yi, on Sunday emphasized the importance of sustained dialogue with the United States to prevent miscalculations that could have worldwide consequences. Speaking ahead of a summit between President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping later this month, Wang warned that a failure to engage would heighten misunderstandings, increase risk of confrontation, and potentially destabilize the global order. The minister's remarks underline Beijing's push for diplomatic channels and strategic communication as both nations navigate complex economic, security, and geopolitical issues amid rising international tensions. Still to come in the news, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, kicked off its biennial cold response exercises in the Arctic on Monday, emphasizing the role of civilians in supporting military operations. We'll bring you details of these headlines and more stories right after this break.
Known as the father of African literature, Chinua Achebe was born on the 16th of November 1930 in Ogidi, now Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. He was born to Isaiah Okafor Achebe, a teacher and an evangelist, and Janet Anenichi Ilegunam, a vegetable farmer. Achebe has reshaped the global understanding of African identity through the power of storytelling. Raised during the twilight of colonial rule, Achebe's education was steeped in both Igbo tradition and the Western values of post-colonial Christianity. As a student at the University of Ibadan, he became fiercely critical of how Africa was portrayed in Western literature. Achebe believed that Western literature often painted Africa as a dark and primitive continent, but he sought to tell the African people's lens. In 1958, Achebe's groundbreaking novel Things Fall Apart shattered colonial narratives through the tragic story of Okonkwo, an Igbo warrior. Achebe illuminated the complexities of African culture and the devastating effects of European colonization. Things Fall Apart became more than just a novel. It became a symbol of African resistance against the oppressive narratives of colonialism. Achebe was not just a writer. He was a passionate advocate for African self-determination, and his political activism made him a critical voice in the post-colonial era. Even after a life marked by personal and political struggles, including a car accident that left him partially paralyzed, Achebe continued to inspire. He taught at Bard College and later Brown University, where his influence reached new generations of writers and thinkers. He was married to Christiana Chinwe Okoli, and they had 4 children. Sadly, he died in March 2013 at the age of 82. Chinua Achebe's legacy endures in his novels, his essays, and in the countless voices of African writers who follow in his footsteps. He gave us a voice, a story, and a vision of Africa that is ours to share.
Welcome back. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Monday called for the European Union to adopt a more assertive approach in defending its interests, warning that reliance on a rules-based system alone is no longer sufficient. Speaking at a conference for European Union ambassadors, von der Leyen said the bloc must evaluate whether its institutions and systems strengthen or weaken its credibility amid complex global threats. She stressed that while the European Union will continue to uphold the rules-based framework, it cannot assume the system will automatically shield it from emerging challenges. The comments highlight a strategic shift in EU policy thinking as the bloc seeks to balance diplomacy, security, and global influence.
At the same time, these attempts to label today's world mask 2 tangible and structural realities which are far from important for Europe. The first is that Europe can no longer be a custodian of the old world order, for a world that has gone and will not return. We will always defend and uphold the rules-based system that we helped to build with our allies, but we can no longer rely on it as the only way to defend our interests. You will hear different views about whether the conflict in Iran is a war of choice or war of necessity. But I believe this debate partly misses the point, because Europe must focus on the reality of the situation, to see the world as it actually is today. And I want to be clear, there should be no tears shed for the Iranian regime. And I think the people of Iran deserve freedom, dignity, and the right to decide their own future, even if we know this will be fraught with danger and instability during and after the war. And beyond this, we can now see a regional conflict with unintended consequences. And the spillover is already a reality today, whether on energy or finance, trade or transport, or the displacement of people.
In another news, the leader of Britain's third largest party in parliament said on Monday that a planned visit by King Charles to the United States should be called off, citing repeated insults from President Donald Trump. Donald Trump has openly criticized Prime Minister Keir Starmer after London initially denied U.S. requests to use British bases for strikes on Iran. The United States president described Starmer as not Winston Churchill and accused him of damaging the special relationship. The remarks have fueled political debate in the United Kingdom, with opposition leaders arguing that such behavior undermines diplomatic goodwill and raises questions about royal visits amid tense transatlantic relations. Now, global oil prices surged past $119 a barrel on Monday, reaching levels not seen since mid-2022. The rally followed supply cuts by major producers and mounting fears of prolonged shipping disruptions caused by the expanding U.S.-Israeli conflict with Iran. Traders said the surge highlights the sensitivity of global energy markets to geopolitical tensions, particularly in the Middle East, which remains a critical hub for oil exports. Analysts warn that continued instability could further drive up prices and exacerbate global inflationary pressures. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, kicked off its biennial cold response exercises in the Arctic on Monday, emphasizing the role of civilians in supporting military operations amid heightened regional tensions. The drills, running March 9 to 19, focus on defending the European Arctic, where NATO members Norway and Finland share borders with Russia, and aim to enhance coordination between military forces and local communities. This year's exercise comes amid U.S. President Donald Trump's controversial push to acquire Greenland from Denmark, a fellow NATO member said, adding a political dimension to the alliance's security operations in the region. In sport news, Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen says the Turkish champions will enter the UEFA Champions League round of 16 first-leg clash against Liverpool on a high, following a 1-0 win over Besiktas in the Istanbul derby on Saturday. Osimhen scored the decisive goal, ending Besiktas' 18-match unbeaten run and helping Galatasaray extend a 7-point lead over close rivals Fenerbahce in the Super League title race. The striker expressed confidence that the team's current form and morale will give them a strong platform as they prepare to face one of Europe's most formidable clubs in the knockout stage. Iraq's head coach Graham Arnold has requested a postponement of the nation's decisive World Cup playoff match later this month due to travel disruptions linked to the escalating U.S.-Israeli conflict with Iran. Arnold highlighted concerns over safety and logistical challenges, noting that flights and regional travel routes have been heavily affected by ongoing hostilities in the Middle East. Despite the disruptions, Arnold expressed confidence in his squad, declaring Iraq ready to make history and return to the World Cup stage for the first time in 4 decades. And that's a wrap on the news this afternoon, but here is a quick recap of today's top stories. National Sugar Development Council and Bank of Industry launched Sugar Project Acceleration Fund to support greenfield sugar projects nationwide. Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC, plans to supply foreign crude to Dangote Refinery to stabilize feedstock supply and maintain steady refining amid rising petrol prices. On the foreign scene, Burkina Faso unveiled $64 billion 5-year economic plan to boost growth, modernize key sectors, expand infrastructure, and strengthen agriculture and industry. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen urges European Union to adopt an assertive stand, warning reliance on rules-based system alone is insufficient. And in the world of sports, Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen says team enters UEFA Champions League round of 16 first leg against Liverpool on high after Istanbul derby win. Many thanks for joining us on the news. Remember to follow us across all of our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV. I am Sarah Obuswanza. Have a lovely afternoon.
Just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
My name is Shino Ogbadegeshi. I'm the CEO of Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch SOUQ News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoin you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching SOUQ News, okay? Stay updated with SOUQ News.
My name is Aton Keme. I am the head of MSME Banking. Please keep watching SOUQ News and stay glued to SOUQ News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch SOUQ News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Hello Lagos, make we yarn.
Hello, boy, if this POS matter, don't pass your code. Person go swipe, alert no enter. Before you know it, jump.
Wait oh, wetin really happen?
Then they use fake alert, they worry us.
Okay, so mona listen to if you dey do POS business, no expose your alert.
Hello, Ogbuefi. They don't walk that bar road where they worry for our local government for years.
This one sweet me, I no lie you. Because you know what, development where they work, it deserve loudspeaker. Now why we dey here be that? For here, we know the abuse, we dey bring solution. My name, it is Ikechukwu Oyemike, aka Ogbuefi Ishegwari.
Make we yarn every weekday from 10 a.m. go to 12 o'clock on Top the Eye 95.9 FM.
The Nigerian National Medicine Development Agency, NNMDA, was created in 1997 and backed by Act 2019 to enable the federal government of Nigeria through Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, actualize its critical and strategic mandates to research, develop, document, preserve, conserve, and promote Nigeria's natural medicine defined as indigenous medicine. 4 Director Generals had steered the affairs of the agency since its creation 28 years ago. A new vista, however, opened in the history of the existence of the agency when Martins Emeje, a distinguished pharmacist and professor of nanotechnology, was appointed as the 5th Director General and Chief Executive Officer in May 2023. Before taking on the mantle of leadership at the NNMDA, Professor Martins Emeje was the Chair R&D at the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, with many feats on drug formulation and R&D results to his credit.
I deliberately applied for this job. There was advertisement. I applied. I wrote the exam. It was an online exam. Nobody saw anybody. And 1 hour exam online. When you submit your answer sheet, you have a copy of the answer sheet. So I have the copy of the answer that I submitted online that day. And that is my manifesto. So every month, I look at the answers that I submitted, and it guides me in the work that I do. As a researcher and proudly the first and only research fellow in Nigeria who is heading a research institute, I know exactly the problems of R&D in Nigeria. Because nobody in Nigeria has or is currently heading a research institute, and he went through the rank and file from being a trainee researcher to an intern researcher, an NYSC researcher, and then a research professor. This is the background that I have.
Call him a round peg in a round hole, and you won't be wrong, as he hit the ground running, leaving a lot of innovations on his trail, achieving great strides in the areas of education, agriculture, and health. thereby raising the bar in R&D in natural medicine for the agency. From May 2023, when he was appointed, within just a few months, 4 oral solid dosage formulation products were unveiled.
My greatest moment actually happened on 8th of March 2024, when the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche Naji, came to Lagos in the campus of NNMDA here to launch 4 oral solid dosage forms. It was not just the first time it was happening in NNMDA, the very first time it was happening in Nigeria. We decided that we will go for education as a major target, as a major KPI. And we went for it aggressively and got accreditation to start a 2-year national diploma in natural medicine. So this agency, for the first time in Nigeria, we now have a school of natural medicine. It's never been heard before. It happened in this administration within these 2 years. Within these 2 years too, because the country saw that we had made explosive advancement in this area, we got upgraded to what we call an awarding body for national skills acquisition in traditional medicine. One of the best medicinal gardens that you can find in Africa right now is in this country, owned by the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, and we did it these 2 years. In fact, two of our products that is waiting for Mr. President launching was we got our raw materials from our Nasarawa State Farm in Karo. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world. Cassava. The only country that competes with Nigeria is Brazil. Yet, Nigeria does not have value-added cassava products. Yet, Nigeria imports starch to make pharmaceutical products. We made a presentation to the National Assembly, and the Senate of our National Assembly supported us. So we went into development of pharmaceutical grade starch. Today, we have pharmaceutical grade starch. In health itself, we have developed and submitted to NAFDAC about 23 different products. 23. And they are all at advanced stage of NAFDAC's regulatory assessment at this point. Now, 3 of such products plus 5 of what we did the previous years is available, and people, because we are a research institution not capacitated or competent by reason of mandate and skilling to do marketing, we do proof of concept, and we wait for entrepreneurs of pharmaceutical industries, nutraceutical industries, food industries to come take them to the market, right? But we also owe, because, like I said, the huge component of the Renewed Hope agenda is that people should be attended to, so that they know that they cannot lose their hope completely in their country. So in this environment, anybody who wants drug for hypertension, for malaria, for erectile dysfunction, for arthritis, for diabetes, for hepatitis, for about at least 8 different disease areas, they come to our pharmacy here to get the drugs.
The past 2 years, under the leadership of Professor Martins Emeje, has seen human capacity development like never before. A development that propelled the agency's researchers into breaking new ground.
This agency had never, in its almost 30 years of existence, had never participated in any local conference where researchers went with work they did in their own laboratory to go make competitive presentation. In our maiden outing in these 2 years, we won 2 awards. We went out for the first time and we got 2 awards. We took first position and we took third position. That is gold and bronze. When I came, I met researchers that have been here working for 15 years but with 1 degree. And I told them, you can't be a researcher with 1 degree. So I embarked on rigorous and aggressive drive to partner and collaborate with investors. So we went into that. Today, as I'm talking to you, we have at least 13 researchers and of the agency that are doing different postgraduate studies in different universities in Nigeria. I have a staff that was in Zimbabwe for 6 months. Now he has a master's in intellectual property. At least 7 of my staff have gone to India.
Quality assurance has been one of the top priorities of the NNMDA Director General and the accreditation of the agency's laboratory and product development unit for pharmacy internship program by the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria a year ago. Under the watch of Professor Martins Emeje, the agency recently graduated its pioneer pharmacy interns.
I went into nanotechnology or nanosciences after PhD, and I had to go out of the country to train in this area for more than 4 years. So it's an area that I'm keen about. I'm one of the first people, if not the first, in Nigeria to have put in practice nanotechnology. What it has done to me as someone who studied Western pharmacy, which is more like macro study, it is that it has taught me how to manage resources, no matter how simple.
The last 2 years has seen NNMDA signing important memoranda of understanding with reputable academic institutions and other critical stakeholders in the areas of training and laboratory services to Nigerian universities. As part of its advocacy and public enlightenment drive, the agency brought together critical stakeholders in the nation's natural medicine space for a national dialogue on rethinking natural medicine aimed at galvanizing the needed support and political will.
I want the president of Nigeria to just be coming on television and saying that people, natural medicine, no other thing. Natural medicine, let's do our own. Let's do our own. Let him just be saying it. Anytime he's talking to press, let him say it. Because once people know that this is where the president is, this is where his mind is, this is what his body language is, they will start investing in natural medicine.
A turning point for the agency was the resolution of the National Assembly on Natural Medicine Gazette. The visit by the chairman, House Committee on Legislative Compliance, was a further demonstration of the renewed impetus.
We cannot have 160 million people subscribing to something, and then the remaining 40 million people, you now want to say that foreign medicine, what to call allopathic medicine, that is the superior to our natural medicine. No, it's not. So when the House of Representatives passed that resolution, I told myself, I have now achieved. So what I was thinking would take me 4 years to achieve, actually, we got it done in 2 years. And it's one of the, so our target has actually increased. The best place to actually functionalize or operationalize Renew Hope agenda, Mr. President, is in the health sector. It's in the health sector. And I always tell people, 2 things that if you have security in it, then you are safe. Food and medicine. Any intervention, any project that we do, that it is not about developing our own indigenous resources, is short-term. It's not sustainable. The only sustainable form of development is indigenous development. So anybody who wants to give me support now, I will just tell you what I want. For example, I want all my staff to live in this compound. If you go to other countries of the world, all these staff of the research institution, they live inside the compound.
Inspiring a new mindset among staff and attitude to work, for the NNMDA Director General, the task of achieving the mandate and the vision of the agency is work in progress.
Hello Nigeria, hello Africa. Yeah, this is Sound Man. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Babalola from Excel LED. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepard Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoin you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hi, I'm Tom Boggaballs, and please keep watching SOUQ News.
Wale Seriki, SLG Lagos Island East, SOUQ News, keep out watching them and keep a lookout for them. They're up and coming, and we're proudly to be affiliated with them.
You alone where they make me go crazy. This your love in the cool of my brain. You're my medicine, I need you all day. Yo, it's Blackface Nigeria, and you're watching SOUQ News TV. Keep it locked on this dial, don't change it. You know what I say? Blackface Nigeria, love no bad.
Directors, President, Nigerian Guild of Editors, distinguished editors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mr. Chairman, as part of your engagement to engage with various stakeholders, you have met with various groups, and another critical group that you are meeting today are members of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Of course, you had a meeting with NUG, where they selected journalists from states of the Federation, where you share your vision and also seek for their support. It's the same thing we are here today. Editors, before you is the chairman of the ICPC. Before becoming the chairman of ICPC, he was the Commissioner of Justice in Jigawa State. And he has a vision that he intends to unveil, or he wants you to help him so that he achieve this vision. Dr. Musa Ali San is currently pursuing a vigorous restructuring of the ICPC that requires your support, your understanding. And that is why I came to Lagos purposely to meet with you and to seek for that support. Distinguished editors, I present you as one of you. I present you the chairman of ICPC and Dr. Musa Ali San. Mr. Chairman, you are welcome, sir.
The management staff of ICPC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy and delighted to be in the midst of these distinguished Nigerians. And I have to say that we at ICPC, we really cherishes and greatly values the partnership with you all, because we know that you are really great and valuable because of the role which our Grand Norm has given to the media. And there is no doubt that your dedication to exposing corruption and enhancing our efforts has been crucial in fostering a more transparent society. And our decision to come here today is part of our determination to strengthen our partnership. This is why this breakfast meeting is not merely an event, but a reaffirmation of our shared mission to combat corruption and uphold integrity in Nigeria. And your support for the ICPC in delivering its statutory mandate, including its robust activities and initiatives in fighting corrupt practices and other related offenses in Nigeria, is really commendable, because you have been really helpful in enlightening Nigerians about the problem of corruption. And I'm personally filled with gratitude that the media has continued to positively boost the ICPC's anti-corruption public communication efforts. Your investigative reports, analysis, and overall dedication to truth have helped in exposing corrupt practices, because there are a lot of stories that you published which help us in our investigation. And most of these stories, they have led us to discovering some massive challenges that is facing, or that are facing our public sector. And if I may recall, there is one whereby it has to do with our youth. The contract is supposed to be executed for the benefit of our youth, but the humongous amount of money was diverted. And it was as a result of one of you we discovered the challenge. So I thank you for the contribution. As we salute your commitment to the crusade against corruption, ICPC under my leadership is really serious to ensure that sustenance and heightening of our collaboration with you. And the media is not merely an observer, you are a frontline partner in the fight. And over the years, ICPC has adopted a strategic communication approach in line with Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and Section 27, Sub 4 of the ICPC Act. And these laws ensure the protection of suspects' rights while remaining strict, diligent, and stern in our actions. And ICPC will remain resolute in propagating the rule of law and protecting human dignity. And also, ICPC under my leadership prioritizes the protection of whistleblowers and the integrity of investigations. And transparency is a cornerstone of our work, and we will continue to provide verified information through official channels, which include press releases, newsletters, and our digital platforms. May I quickly review some of our engagement last year? Last year, because I was Attorney General, and I rallied my former colleagues, we had a meeting in Abuja, whereby we look at the challenge of corruption at SOUQ National. We reviewed the problems and also agreed that we need to work together. As a former Attorney General, I know that they are critical because they are the chief law officers of the states. That is why I engaged them, and after the meeting we had in Abuja, we started the zonal engagement. We had one in Kano for the Northwest, where we discussed challenges around corruption within the zone. And also this year we are going to the other geopolitical zones to have similar deliberations. And also in September this year we are going to sit down and review what we have done to see how can we partner. Because I feel the attorneys general are critical. And as chief law officers, they need to work together with us, because by section 15 of the Constitution, all of us are supposed to put hand on deck in order to fight corruption and also to see how can we tackle abuse of office. And also, I had engagement with Nigerian Institute of the NIPR, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, ICANN, Nigerian Bar Association, and various stakeholders on how can we partner in the fight against corruption. Because no single entity can fight corruption. We need to work together. So that is why I reach out to various stakeholders to ensure that we are on the same page. And last year, we were able to reach out fiscally 1,458,000 individuals through our 579 sensitization exercise conducted under our community engagement programs. And we issued about 188 press releases. And also the Commission experienced increased followership in our social media platforms. And also we introduced what we call ethics pods, a podcast, whereby we are sensitizing Nigerians around the issue of corruption. And also, there is no way we can succeed without having planning. Our strategic action plan 2024 to 2028 was unveiled last year, whereby we gathered stakeholders and discussed it, because that will be our focus on how we can work. And our strategic action plan is in line with the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, which has 5 pillars: corruption prevention, issue of enforcement and punishment, ethical reorientation, and also enlisting public support of Nigerians, so that, and also recovery of proceeds of crime and management. And this is the area whereby we have upscaled our activities to see that we trace, recover, and manage the process of crime, and also to remit it back to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, so that we won't allow those allegedly took away what did not belong to them to go away with it. Because if you allow them, once they accumulate the process of crime, no doubt they will use it and also to fight back. And also they will deprive Nigerians with what they are supposed to have in the issue of infrastructure. So that's why we focus seriously in that area of recovery of proceeds of crime. And also ICPC, as you know, that it has laudable programs. And one of the key issues which I focus is that I ensure that I consolidate all what the previous chairman of ICPC have done, from late Justice Mustafa Akambi to Professor Wasson. I ensure that all their programs are intact, and I'm building up, so that I want to ensure that we maintain that organizational culture of ICPC, and also for me to enhance what they did, most especially to focus on digital transformation, because this is an area whereby we need to use technology in the fight against corruption, most especially in the area of analytics, artificial intelligence, that we'll be able to analyze huge data. And I'm sure you are aware of the constituency and executive project tracking, which ICPC is well known about it. And I know last year we were able to track over 1,500 projects, which has value of over 600 billion naira. And so that at least Nigerians can get good quality projects that is in the budget. And also the Ethic and Integrity Compliance Scorecard, which is an initiative of ICPC, which measure institutions' adherence to ethical standards. We released the results, and I have seen the impact, because most of head of agencies that have not done well, they reach out. Chairman, why? What are our challenges? Can you help us to see that we overcome these problems? Which is really good, because I have never thought that it will have that impact. And why? Because of you here. You have gave it wide publicity. So because of that, most of the head of agencies now, they reach out. Please, how can we do well next year? So I thank you for the assistance. And also our sexual harassment prevention program, which is tackling corruption linked to abuse of power. Last year, I know that we had engagement with the civil society, where the ministers of the Minister of Education, then Professor Tahir Mamman, and the State Minister Yusuf Tanko Sununu, they were there. The former Minister of Affairs was there, and also over 20 commissioners of education across the country, they attended, because we discussed the challenge around the problem of sexual harassment, most especially in our tertiary institutions, because our students are victims of this challenge. So that's why ICPC has been doing its great in that area, so that we ensure that we help our students, we protect them from sexual harassment. And I'm sure that you are aware that currently there is one of the senior academics that is facing trial at Abuja Federal High Court on this issue of sexual harassment. So, and we are determined to ensure that where there is credible evidence, any sexual harassment complaint tabled before us, we will make our efforts to ensure that we investigate it and also take the matter to court where there is evidence. Then there is our Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit, Act 2, that they have been doing well in the various MDAs in order to help in ensuring that there is transparency and accountability in MDAs in this country. Then, when I came in, I tried to bring up my policy, which I call it Care for Impact, to ensure that ICPC as an agency, I consolidate the good culture of that agency, and also an agency which is accountable, responsible, and efficient in approaching all issues that are tabled before us. So that one too is something that I unveiled it last year, and we have been using it. Now, recently, we are aware of the decision of the Supreme Court about the local government autonomy. So we have looked at the decision, and also we have been having various engagement with civil society to see how can we give our quota, how can we control our quota in ensuring that the local government autonomy operates the way it's supposed to. And also, how can we follow what are happening in the local government councils. And we are trying to bring up what we call corruption prevention program for local governments, whereby we'll monitor activities at all the 774 local government areas in this country. One problem we notice is that in this era of technology, there are only 7 local government areas in this country that have functional websites. So we feel that is not right. So we will now try to see how can we use technology to force the local government council to make information available to Nigerians so that Nigerians can follow what they are doing. You, also the editors and other media stakeholders, can be able to follow what are they doing so that we will monitor if there are issues, questions can be asked. We too, we can follow because we don't have the enough manpower to go over all the 774 local government areas. But we feel technology can help us. And we know that practically, I don't think the procurement processes in our local government councils. This is an area where we need to look at. And also we will ensure that there are mechanisms around control of corruption, around the issue of finances of local government councils. So we will team up with the media, with the civil society to ensure that information are available. Nigerians know what is happening so that at least it will reduce the challenge of corruption at local government level. Last 2 weeks, we are in Gombe, myself and Ola, the chairman of the EFCC. And we discussed around the challenges at local government level. So, and we are determined to ensure that we focus there so that Nigerians at the local level can get the dividend of democracy. And even recently, we have been facing challenges around the issue of this local government autonomy because there is even one caretaker local government chairman whom we charged to court because after the decision of the Supreme Court, he continued to spend government money to award contracts despite the fact that the Supreme Court said, look, stop. And also we know how challenging this issue of local autonomy has been since 1999. But ICPs as an agency, we will ensure that by virtue of Section 287 of the Constitution, we have the power to ensure that the decision of the Supreme Court is implemented fully. And also, I'm appealing to those who are making attempts not to comply with the decision of the Supreme Court to please desist. Because Supreme Court is the last court. Once it delivers a judgment, we must comply. That's what is rule of law. Because ICPC will continue to monitor and investigate, because any caretaker local government chairman from 11th of July 2024 who spent public funds, who award contract, that is corruption. Because you don't have the mandate. And also the Apex Court has already spoken, so we must comply. Now, in my 1 year in office, there are a lot of international engagements which ICPC engage in. And in one of the engagements is that last year in September, we had an event in Beijing, China, whereby there is Global Network. Global Network is a coalition of over 200 anti-corruption agencies across the globe from 124 countries. And I had the privilege of leading ICPC delegation and Nigeria, whereby Nigeria participated in an election of steering committee member, and Nigeria was elected as one of the top steering committee member of that Global Network. And also, one area which I made mention that we have been focusing is the issue of asset recovery. Asset recovery is really area whereby we in Africa, we must focus on it. Because we have seen how our own resources have been taken outside the continent, going to the global north. So that was why at the African Union level, if you may recall, in 2015, there is Thabo Mbeki high-level committee, whereby the heads of state of African countries agree that there is need for a forum of asset recovery practitioners in Africa. And the processes of bringing up the forum, it was last year that the forum was established in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and I was elected as one of the representatives of West Africa, whereby we met in Arusha, Tanzania in November, whereby I was elected as the interim chair of that forum to try to galvanize the 55 African countries and corruption agencies to ensure that we come together to see how can we help Africa to recover and repatriate stolen assets that are kept somewhere else. And we agree that, look, apart from slavery, which is our own human resources that was taken to other continents, there are a lot of stolen assets of Africa outside the shore of Africa. And we know what is happening. Whenever you want to trace and recover, the experts outside Africa will charge you huge amount of money to recover all professional fee to recover those stolen assets. So that was why we say, no, we need to come together as Africans. Let us identify our experts within the continent. If we need somebody to trace, Nigeria doesn't have the expert. It can look for Ghana, Kenya, or any other African country. Do you have the expert? Yes. So that's why we are coming together to see that we trace, recover, and repatriate the stolen assets. Also, we'll keep on raising this issue of stolen assets at various fora, because the United Nations Convention Against Corruption has already backed the issue of stolen assets that we need to recover it. So this is an area whereby that I'm chairing now, and we are trying to see how we will make efforts to see that it has seen the light of the day. And distinguished editors, we know that corruption thrives where there is silence or in silence. But your voices are the ones that can shatter that silence. Your role in shaping public perception and holding institutions accountable cannot be overstated. The more Nigerians see what you write, what your opinion about this issue of corruption, the better for us. Because they will be enlightened, they will know what is happening, they will ask questions, and that will put us on our toes. That will minimize the challenge of corruption. Because we at ICPC, we are trying to see how can we use our mission to diminish corrupt practices through our public mobilization, our own doggedness in investigation, and also to ensure that we follow rule of law. We will be patient in investigation. No matter how long it will take, we will do it slowly but surely. We will reach our destination. And also, we at ICPC will ensure that we deepen our own relationship with you, the media. And I'm appealing to you to come to our try to understand the terrain we are working. It's not easy terrain. Whoever worked within the anti-corruption cycle will know that it is not easy, because it is an area whereby you are fighting those who are already determined to continue to pilfer our resources. It's an area whereby those who engage in corrupt practices are really determined to peddle information that are not correct in order to try to bring controversies so that to divert the attention of the main issue. So fairness, hearing from the other side, is what will help us to discharge our mandate. And ICPC for the past 25 years has consistently maintained ensuring that there is fairness and the fair hearing, and also we do not engage in anything that will bring damage to people because of allegation against them. We will continue to ensure that we will be fair. If you ask questions, we will answer. And like I said, we are appealing to you to reason with us because of the terrain we are operating, which I know I don't need to elaborate. So that's why there is no way we will not come close to you. There is no way, because we need you, because Nigerians need to know what is happening. That will project the good image of our country. That will make foreign direct investment to come into our country. that will make our youth to have job. We know what is happening in this country. We know that a lot of youth are roaming on the streets looking for job. And the youth are the future leader of this country. So, and it is through you, by helping us to propagate our activities and also to bring issues that will project good image of this country. By doing that, we'll make Nigeria great and also will tackle the challenge of our corruption. And conclusively, I want to emphasize that you mean a lot to us and that we count on you as dependable partners in ensuring that Nigeria is corrupt-free, and also I'm sure that partnering with you will continue to help ICPC to move forward, and also ICPC will continue to record achievements, and we hope that the aspiration of Section 15 of the Constitution will be realized, where Nigeria will be a country free from corrupt practices and abuse of office. Thank you so much. Money and property last year, and I even know even this year too, we recovered some amount of money and also property. Even currently, we are tracing and marking some assets in one of the states where some people diverted public funds. Even this morning, I know that there is an amount of money which we recovered from the diversion of public funds. So we are talking about both the fixed and movable property. That's if you are talking within Nigeria. Even abroad, it is the same thing. Although during my time, ICPC did not recover any assets from taken outside the shores of Nigeria. But I know that we are collaborating with one of the African countries about money that was brought into Nigeria from that country. We are tracking and to trace the money so that we will see how the money can be taken back to where it was brought in here. So this is what I can say. And some of the issues you raise are part of the problem. Like I said somewhere else, and I kept on saying, I will say it here. My first contact with public office is when I was Attorney General. That was when I now realized that all what I was thinking, when I came into contact with the reality, then I now realize that we Nigerians are part of the problem. One of the issues you raise about societal pressure. I'm not saying that it's a justification for any public officer to engage in corruption. But if you, I'm sure you have had one or two discussions with those who are holding public office. The kind of stress, pressure that public officers are undergoing in this country is too much. Because the family, the friends, associates expect you to give them money. And this is one of the factors that is now pushing those in public office to go into that. And I noticed that any public officer who resists, you are considered as awkward, very difficult, and they will keep on pressurizing you that if only people that are strong that can stand that pressure. And also some people too, they are even daring, will tell you I was a victim when I was Attorney General. And I want to say it here. Maybe the person who did it will hear an issue which I say, look, AG, we want you to do this thing. I say, sir, it's not even in public office, it's not even a public officer. I say, sir, I can't do this thing because my conscience will not allow me to do it. After they put pressure from different angles, okay, you are a young man. How? I don't want to destroy your career. And I say, sir, my career is not in your hand. It's in the hand of God, my Creator. And I left. What followed, it wasn't pleasant. I had to battle for more than 1 year of series of blackmail, from one blackmail to another, just because somebody wants to get money, and he can only get that money through me. And I was put under intense pressure to succumb, which I did not. What followed was I was put under serious stress. Now, the second problem is there is this theory. Whenever the corruption, if you look at it, if the benefit is high, the risk is low, people will keep on to engage. If people know that if you engage in corruption, it is really highly risky, you will lose your reputation in public. People will never consider you as somebody who has reputation in the society. People will be careful. If you know that the punishment is going to be very harsh, people will be careful. But if the risk is very low, the benefit is high, so people will continue to engage. So that is why we need to look, how can we strengthen our laws to ensure that those who engage are punished seriously. And also, you, the media, you have the role to play in sensitizing Nigerians that those who are trying, please try to support them. And distinguished, I want to tell you that there are good people in this country. Every part of this country, there is no part of this country that I did not come across people that detest corruption, people that are serious, people that help me. I met a lot of people that are trying to see how can we help this thing, how can we fight this corruption, Chairman. But the problem is that the support from the public, sometimes people are not willing to support because they feel, you know, what you are doing is not worth it, and also because of the pressure, so people feel like, okay, let us leave you, go and do what. So this is second problem. And also we need to see how can we fasten the judicial process, because it's law. It is not the law that is the problem, but rather some of us within the system, we try to put stumbling block in the judicial processes, bring in series of applications, truncate, so that you will see one case will take many years. Even the witness will be frustrated. You call a witness today, the matter is adjourned, and I'm not saying that it is the fault of the judges. No, it is all of us, the lawyers, and also other stakeholders, that we know if your client has an issue, as a lawyer, you know, because once you look at the facts and the proof of evidence, you'll be able to know that my client has an issue. Okay, how can you help him to face justice so that all the process of justice, the court and the system should be fair to him? But you will see that that's going down is also another factor. That you will see somebody engage in corruption. When you take him to court, it will take many years. And before you know it, you will see another corruption case. And also another problem, especially in the public sector, I now notice, is that our public service rules also has a problem. Because it has given a leeway that people engaging in corruption, there is no specific provision which provides that, look, once you are engaged in corruption, you should automatically be dismissed. But some, you will find that after ICPC are investigating an issue, it has taken somebody to court, even if you secure conviction, you will not realize that the agencies are not willing to edge out those people. They will leave them to continue working. Because I feel any public officer that is convicted, he is not supposed to continue working in public agency. He should go. If the Constitution will say that conviction of embezzlement and fraud attracts disqualification for a certain period of time, I think there is need. Any convict should not be allowed to work within the public service. It should just be aged out. And that is why now, as chairman of ICPC, we are now going to exploit the Code of Conduct, Bureau and Tribunal. Any public officer with secure conviction and the agency refuses to edge him out, we will send him to Code of Conduct because they have the power to edge him out. So there is another way so that we don't allow people to continue. So these and other issues are part of the problem why the problem of corruption will keep on coming and coming and coming. And also the institutions are really weak because there are a lot of vulnerabilities where people are exploiting in order to commit corrupt practices. That is why we need to focus on technology. Technology will be able to give you the thread. You will be able to know some of the things that are happening, most especially around procurement. This is an area whereby there is serious problem because of the laxity and the challenge around that. So that's why you will see that almost you will be seeing issues around procurement be raised in public sector. So this is also another factor that is bringing this issue of corruption to keep on going. And also there is an international dimension too. Because if those who are taking or stealing the humongous amount of money, they don't have a place to hide it, then it will reduce. But they know that they can wear it somewhere else. And those countries, I keep on saying, when you say that we have challenge of corruption, why are you keeping the process of crime in your country? Why can't you turn them back? This is process of crime. Please take it back to your country because there is United Nations Convention Against Corruption. And it is a global legal instrument. But you will find out that when they wear the money outside the country, there are a lot of technicalities. MLA, other things that will be frustrated because the legal mechanisms are made in such a way that it's even very, very difficult for you to recover. So if they know that they cannot take it somewhere else, I think the problem might reduce. Okay, the constituency project, like I said, we have been investigating the issue because it's a challenge that has been with us for a long period of time. And from what I notice of why the challenge keep on coming is one of the issues you made mention. Because there was a time when member of the National Assembly told me, say, Chairman, I have concern. I say, what is your concern? He said, it's about this your concern executive project tracking. You people are doing well. But I know why this issue will keep on coming. On that day, he was telling me the challenge he was facing. There was burial in his hometown. You need to contribute. He said, look, somebody had domestic accident. He called me. And so he kept on mentioning, he said, I'm not justifying, but the societal pressure on us is too much. That's why only those who are strong will resist. And I don't know whether that is part of the reason why we are having this challenge. And to be frank with you, we have noticed areas whereby some of them did not execute the project. We have noticed whereby some of them, they did shoddy job. We have noticed whereby some of you notice that, like I keep on saying, a well is supposed to be dig in one place and somebody will just take it to his home farmland. We will see whereby street lights, instead of to be installed on the streets, somebody will put in his house. So these are challenges that are keep coming. And I know that there is one of the newspapers last year, they made a front page story that ICPC has failed to tackle this challenge. And I know that we have been doing our best. And we did a lot because we have recovered a lot. And even currently, I know that there is somebody who is facing trial. A charge will file a charge against one of the former members of the National Assembly. The former member is facing trial because of diversion. And also we know that we have been going to ensure that if you do not execute the contract, you must go and do it. I know that there is a state whereby an ambulance was diverted. We ensure that it was taken to the hospital. I know where a lot of things. And that's why the strategy is good. In the sense that let us recover the proceeds of crime and put it into use. Because if you keep on filing charges and all these things, you will spend many years in court while the actual project will not be executed. And to be fair to them, if you confront them, you show them the proof. Honorable or distinguished, this is a project you're supposed to execute, you do not. Please direct the contractor to go back to site, or contractor go back to site. You go back. And recently, those who are being used, the contractors, I have been hard on them. If you allow money to be diverted through you, we are going to charge you now. You want to refund that money because you allow yourself to be used as conduit pipe. So we have been doing that and we have recovered a lot. And if I may say that the societal pressure, in my view, is one of the challenges and also the weakness of the institutions. Because, to be frank, some of the heads of agencies, they allow themselves to be used in these challenges of constituency projects. Because if the head of agencies insists, once there is a contract awarded, that contract must be executed to the latter. Or you insist that you are not going to allow anything to be inserted in your budget, which is not out of your mandate. So if we will do that, then this thing will minimize. But if the head of agencies allow themselves to be used, then this thing will keep on happening. And ICPC, all anti-corruption agencies, we don't have the capacity to follow all the projects. That's why you, as the media, you can expose. The public too, they need to follow their project, all your projects. If there's a project which is supposed to be done in your constituency or in your sector district, it was not done, raise it. And I don't think there is any public officer that you confront him with evidence that this amount of money was appropriated for a particular project and you don't execute, please go back and execute. You will not say, no, I'm not going to do that. I hope I have answered. We are doing it in such a way that we don't disrupt the financial system. So we do it in such a way that we don't allow you to continue with illegality and committing crime, so that we will save the banking system and also the public sector fund. Then on issue of Dubai, like you made mention, in my speech I made mention of proceeds of crime. And I alluded to the fact that the international legal regimes, the various laws of countries are the problem. Because for me, I kept on saying in various fora of anti-corruption that look, if somebody steals our money and take it to your own country and you keep it, why are you telling me that we should come together and fight corruption? Why? Because you know, because your own, there is no your money in my country. So that's why you are saying we should join hands. Why I have traced and point out to you, this is the public funds taken to your own country. Why can't you give us our own? But because of the legal regimes, sometimes it's tedious, it takes a lot of time, and there are a lot of, it's not even law alone, there are politics, there are diplomacy, so it is something which is even outside the realm of anti-corruption agencies alone, because you need a lot of stakeholders. I know recently there are countries that I am the one who have been following that, look, let us sign an MOU with you, because we have noticed our funds are being taken to our own countries. And they agree. There are some 1 or 2 countries that I know that we are about to complete signing an MOU because of what we have noticed.
Also here, as a media owner, I here with my team, we have a radio station and also a television station. I want to commend your efforts. For you to meet with the media shows you are transparent. It shows you are accountable. I don't have any question to ask you because I'm part of the team. It is not cheap to fight corruption. It's very, very expensive. Fighting corruption is also very, very complex. It's not as easy as we used to say it. It is only the person that is wearing the shoe that will know where it pitches is. So I commend your efforts and I pray for more grace that God should color your efforts. Everything is in your favor, the age, the energy, you have the capacity, and you have the right team to help you to drive it. You have the right team to drive it. Finally, you have this advice. You can't do it alone. You need to also rely on the outside team to help you to drive your dreams, your plans, and goals, especially in the area of the media. I suggest maybe you could have something like a strategic media public enlightenment committee. Comprises, of course, the media team as well, stakeholders. You have a committee who also help you spread your good news. Also help you spread your good news either in the public sector, in the private sectors, and all that. Because if you say you want to work with media like you would like to work to, it's very, very expensive. But when you have the committees, selected committee, media team, editors, and also for the private sector and public sector, they will help you to achieve your dreams and goals. So you have our support, and like I said, God will color your efforts. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Angry ones and the pastors.
Let me just add to your to-do list. I had 2 questions written down, but after Ikechukwu gave his lecture, I decided to calm down. You talked about, before I round up, and thank you for coming, judges advising you to go settle out of court. The biggest problem, one of the biggest problems with corruption in Nigeria are those judges. Recently, I think it was the Chief Justice of Nigeria who said election cases constitute about 70 or 80% of the cases they have in their docket, which suggests that election cases are very lucrative for them. So you have to put your searchlight on the judiciary. Then number 2, your constituency, the legal profession. Please, MBA has, from all accounts, a vibrant lawyer, Afam Osigwe. Engage him, collaborate with him. MBA too has to deliver. Plea bargaining takes place and judges advise you to go settle out of court. It's because the judges too are corrupt. The appointment and promotion mechanism on the bench is also corrupt. Search the NJC. Today, the type of, what's the word now? Corruption in terms of judicial promotion in Abuja is huge and impacts on the quality of judgment delivered. So, Mr. Chairman, the biggest thing you have done is to come here to show transparency. You said corruption thrives when there's. I also say this, I'll add to that corruption thrives when there's darkness, when it's hidden. So your coming out here suggests that you really want to fight corruption in partnership with my colleagues. And it's a brilliant thing you have done. I know you met some of my colleagues in Abuja, and that's why the Secretary of the Guild and the Deputy President of the Guild are here. You have to continue. Because if you want to work with the media, honestly, the way you have shown, the media will work with you, and Nigeria will be better for it. Thank you for coming.
And I will do my best to start my duty to the best of my ability, together with the officers of the ICPC. That is why, if people are raising the issue of bias, the issue of all this lie, you cannot prevent people from raising those kind of issues. But one thing I know, that if I satisfy my conscience, I'll go to sleep. And like I said, there is somewhere else that we are going to account somewhere. And that is why I try as much as possible to be fair in what I'm doing. And also God knows what I'm doing, and also know my ability, because the anti-corruption is a very complex and difficult thing. Sometimes getting evidence, getting things is difficult. Even if you're investigating issues, somebody will look like you are targeting somebody, or you have a motive, or this thing. So on my own part, I will do my best, and also posterity will judge. Because that's the only thing I can say. On other issue, which like the president said, that the lecture you gave us, and some of the things you raised, I quite agree with you that those are the challenges, and we need to work on them. And in my view, that is why the Constitution is structured in such a way that chapter 2 it is left in such a way that it's you, the leader, that should strive to ensure that Chapter 2 is realizable. You attain that aspiration: education, healthcare, good environment, all other social amenities. You as a leader, you must think outside the box to ensure that you reduce the poverty level, which I agree with you. The level of poverty is really high, and we need to tackle it, because without tackling the poverty, we will continue to face this challenge of corruption that keeps on coming. And also, we are not justifying or defending the public office holders or the politicians, like you said, that we are saying that there's societal pressure. Like you said, it's a fact. We can't deny it. Myself as ICPC chairman, if I show you the number of text messages people are sending to me every day, you'll be shocked. In fact, I am even thinking that some they have even forgotten that I am the ICPC chairman. Maybe they are thinking that I am chairman of one local government or a state government, because they will keep on sending. So, and also they will keep on calling, because the number of calls are such that they are unbearable. And we are part of the society. Even if we deny, there is such a thing that even if you deny, it's a reality. And I agree that poverty is one of the factors. But also we have to keep on telling people that they need to consider public office holders. And also we, the public office holders, also, we need to live a simple life. Because some of us, the way we are living a very larger life, that's why people will keep on pressurizing you. But unfortunately, it is also us, the Nigerians, that are pushing people. Like that member I started the example, he told me that my constituents were telling me that, look at this man. He has finished house order, he has an old car. Up to now. So people are even looking at you, there are certain things that even if you exhibit as a public officer, people will look at you that is strange. So why? Because it is the society that are pushing people to adopt a life that will put you in trouble. And once you resist, like I said, they will say you are awkward, you are difficult, you know, all these things. And we are all human beings. And that is why we need that support from you, the media, in your own writings, articles, and opinions, and also the public too. They need to support public officers that are transparent, that try to live within their means and within the ambit of the law. But without that, you will find one or two people that because of that they will derail. Because of that prejudice. That's why always I will raise this issue of prejudice. Last week when I was in Gombe, and I told the chairman, don't allow anybody to put pressure on you to dip your hand in public purse. Let them say whatever they want to say. Because one day you are going to leave. It's better for you to leave, you go home and sleep well, than for you to leave and something to follow up which will not be nice.
Optimism is a strategy for making a better future because unless you believe that the future can be better, you are unlikely to step up and take responsibility for making it so. Responsibility is the price of greatness. How else can one explain the thought process of a 24-year-old youth leaving the luxurious comforts in the United States to fill in for his incarcerated father in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, and run a family business holding the fort till stability was achieved? This is the story of Abdul Samad Rabiu, an unassuming, silent achiever. Samad Rabiu attended Capital University, Columbus, Ohio, and returned to Nigeria to oversee the family business when his father, Ishaku Rabiu, was detained by the administration of General Muhammadu Buhari for allegedly not paying the rice report duties. Not only was his father under investigation, the family business was under scrutiny. These harsh realities of being thrust right into the middle of it all shaped the young man's resolve to hard work in silence. Abdul Samad Rabiu is the son of one of Nigeria's foremost industrialists, late Khalifa Ishaku Rabiu, founder of Ishaku Rabiu and Sons Group, the family-operated holding company with a history of investment in manufacturing, insurance, banking, and real estate. In the 1970s, the group invested in manufacturing, with its first investment being the Kano Suits and Packaging Cases Company, a factory producing suitcases and handbags. In 1972, the Bagauda Textile Mill, manufacturing woven clothes for uniforms, importing and trading in different segments of the economy, including frozen food service, sugar, and a motor vehicle and parts distribution company specialized in Daihatsu products. Abdul Samad Rabiu was born with a very big silver spoon in the ancient city of Kano on the 4th day of August in 1960, 57 days to Nigerian independence. 24 years later, responsibility beckoned. He was in the family business till 1988. Abdul Samad Rabiu, following in the steps of the family business to establish BUA Bois International Limited in 1988. Solely for commodity trading, Bois International Limited imported rice, edible oil, flour, iron, and steel. The much-needed wins to his sale came in 1990. The government, owners of the Dettol Steel Company, got into a contract with Bois to supply its raw materials in exchange for finished products. This was the young company's much-needed windfall. Bois expanded further into steel, producing pellets, importing iron ore, and constructing multiple rolling mills in Nigeria. Nigerian Oil Mills Limited, the largest edible oil processing company in Nigeria, was sadly bought by Bois in 2005. Bois started 2 flour milling plants in Lagos and in Kano. By 2008, Bois had broken an 8-year monopoly in the Nigerian sugar industry by commissioning the second largest sugar refinery in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2009, the company went on to silently acquire a controlling stake in a publicly listed cement company in northern Nigeria, Sokoto Cement, and began to construct a $900 million cement plant in Ogu-Obela, Edo State, completed and commissioned in 2015, which was at that time the single largest non-oil investment in South Nigeria, and had a capacity of 6 million metric tons per annum upon completion of the second line. This was followed by a new 1.5 million metric tons line in Sokoto in 2018 and another 3 million metric ton line, which commenced in 2020 and was commissioned in 2022, bringing the total installed capacity for his cement holdings to 11 million metric tons as of January 2022. Abdul Samad Rabiu is very entrenched with his family in business, having over 40 siblings. His younger brother, Rabiu Ishaku Rabiu, was the CEO of IRS Airlines Limited, an airline based in Abuja, Nigeria. It operates scheduled domestic passenger services. Its main base was Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. The airline was established in 2002 and started operations in March 2002 and ceased operations in 2013. Kabiru Rabiu, our younger brother, currently serves as the Group Executive Director of BUA Group. In 2020, Kabiru was named the best African economic leader under the age of 40 in the 100 African Economic Leaders for Tomorrow Awards by the French Institute, SOUQ. BUA invested $300 million in the 20,000 hectares Lafiaji Sugar Estate project, which comprises a sugar mill, sugar refinery, ethanol processing plant, and 35 megawatts power plant. The company also built an export-focused refinery in Port Harcourt, the only destination sugar refinery in sub-Saharan Africa. Abdul Samad Rabiu is constructing a 200,000 barrels per day petrochemicals refinery in Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. The agreement was signed with Access of France in August 2020 with a refinery aimed at serving Nigeria and the West African petroleum refining needs. It is expected to be completed and operational by 2025. The privately owned Omu Obela Cement Company was in January 2020 merged with the publicly listed Cement Company of Northern Nigeria, where Abdul Samad Rabiu already held a controlling stake in the $3.3 billion transaction, and BUA Cement PLC was born. Abdul Samad consolidated all his food businesses in sugar, edible oils, rice, flour, and pasta milling into a new company, BUA Foods PLC. In December 2021, it was listed on the Nigerian exchange. BUA Foods emerged as a consumer goods leader in market capitalization, experiencing a phenomenal 206% year-to-date appreciation. Share prices soared from 65 naira per share in December 2022 to the current value of 379.9 naira per share as at 24th March 2024. In terms of fundamentals, BUA Foods exhibited robust financials with a 54% increase in profits to 105.6 billion naira in the first 9 months of 2023. Revenue witnessed an impressive 80.95% year-on-year growth, reaching 524.428 billion naira, and return on average equity stood at 43.42%. Despite challenges, Rabiu strategically increased his direct shares in BUA Cement by 56.37%, totaling 96.12% ownership. This move, executed on June 26, 2023, demonstrates Rabiu's confidence in his company's future growth. BUA Foods PLC and BUA Cement PLC companies are among the top 10 most valuable publicly listed companies in sub-Saharan Africa. From a relatively small company in 1988, BUA Group has grown to a world-class conglomerate, contributing significantly to the country's GDP, while providing employment opportunities for tens of thousands of Nigerians. Abdul Samad Rabiu's philanthropy is silently second to none. He founded the Abdul Samad Africa Initiative, ASR Africa, and an African-focused fund for social development and renewal which seeks to support Nigeria and other African countries in the area of health, education, and social development. In October 2022, Abdul Samad Rabiu, through ASR Africa, donated $500,000 to the United States Agency for International Development partner on tuberculosis control, HIV, and gender-based violence prevention efforts in Nigeria. Development of a 7.5 billion naira 200-bed specialist hospital in Kano State during the global COVID-19 pandemic. Abdul Samad Rabiu championed Nigeria's donation to this COVID-19 intervention by a single individual or corporate donating, amongst other things, 1.35 billion naira to the COVID private sector coalition, 300 million naira to the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, over 1 billion naira in cash donations to 10 state governments across the country, 70 ambulances, medical equipment, face masks, provision of foodstuffs for over 1.5 million persons in Kano, Lagos, and Rivers States. ASR Africa Initiative donated a 4 billion naira police hospital in Abuja and donated 1 billion naira each for 6 universities across Nigeria through the ASR Africa Tertiary Education Grants Scheme for infrastructural development. The beneficiaries of the 6 billion naira tertiary education grant schemes are Ahmadu Bello University, University of Ibadan, University of Maiduguri, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, University of Ilorin, and the University of Benin. AES Power Africa Initiative also donated 2.5 billion naira each through its tertiary healthcare development grants for health projects across 4 geopolitical zones in the country. These are in addition to 5 billion naira donated to build the first teaching hospital in Akwa Ibom State, donated 10 billion naira to the Security Support Fund of the Nigerian government. Abdul Samad Rabiu was awarded the 2022 CEO of the Year at the African CSR Awards, 2016 African Industrialist of the Year Awards by the All African Business Leader Awards, the 2022 Sun Man of the Year Awards, 2020 Vanguard Business Person of the Year, and the New Telegraph Philanthropist of the Year 2021, a recipient of several honorary doctorate degrees from various universities, including the University of Benin, Nasarawa State University, Sokoto State University, and Crescent University. Abdul Samad Rabiu is a fellow of the Institute of Directors, and he currently holds the prestigious Nigerian National Honors, Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, CFR, Commander of the Order of Niger, CON, as well as the highest civilian national honor in Niger Republic. Abdul Samad Rabiu is married with children. His children are Mustafa Khadija Kuki Rabiu, Ishaku Khalifa Rabiu, Junad Rabiu. On the 22nd of January 2024, Forbes estimated Rabiu's wealth at $5.9 billion, putting him as the 6th wealthiest man in Africa and 508th in the Global Billionaires Club. The family man, the silent achiever, the giver, Abdul Samad Rabiu.
Just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
My yellow pepper,